Okay, Arcane Season 2 official trailer has dropped. Oh my god, there is so much in this. To start off, there's a lot that feels like it's been confirmed, or at least confirmed like 80-ish%.
I want to tear that laugh from her throat forever.
So could not be more confirmed that Kate's mom is dead. Vengeful Kate era has begun. Mel also seems dead. Hard to imagine what else could be driving Ambessa this furiously. Jace being alive, that's fairly confirmed. We see him here. We finally got our first glimpse of Pit Fighter Vi. We got Jinx becoming a symbol. We got a big confrontation scene between Vi and Warwick. And we get to see Jinx finally getting to ride in an airship like she said she always wanted to as a little kid. And then lots of other stuff we can speculate on, stuff that we can kind of understand, other stuff that we don't understand at all, some stuff they purposely give us zero context for, and lots to talk about there, lots to get excited about there. But what I am most excited about seeing this trailer, what I want to talk about is the colors. Oh my god, the colors. There is so much to dissect here. I don't know if other people have been going into this. I have been largely out of internet connection since this trailer dropped. Did not exactly come at the greatest time for my plans. But anyway, to preface, Arcane Season 1 was all about the color symbolism. Characters had their own colors, technologies had their own colors, factions had colors, environments had colors, tons of stuff going on with eye color. Mel's whole arc is told through colors. So now we're in Arcane Season 2 and we're getting images like this. Or look at this, what is going on? Look at this. We never saw a full spectrum of colors being used like this in Arcane Season 1 at all. And as much as I would like to see all these images and say we are firmly out of the single color symbolism story language we got in Season 1, we are not. Because look at this scene, and this scene, and this scene, and this, and this, and this. Heck, we have a soundtrack literally called Paint the Town Blue. I think we're still pretty firmly in single color story language also, and that's going to somehow reconcile with the multicolor symbolism. Put a pin in that for now, and now tell me, what is this? Where is this? This doesn't look like any setting from Season 1. It doesn't look like anywhere in Piltover or Zon, and maybe I'm wrong about that, I could totally be wrong, but this thing seemed very important. And then they made sure to give us the shot of the Piltover cityscape that makes you go, oh, wow, yeah, okay. Similarities. It would appear that this globular thing is the top of the Hex Gate, maybe? There's only two giant globular things in the Arcane universe that we know of so far. One is the bathysphere.
I heard the bathysphere has a nice view.
Which apparently looks like this. And sure, it could be that. I don't know what that would mean, but it could be that. Or it could be a hex gate that someone stole or transported to this place. Or maybe it opens up to this place. Also, we see this thing that Heimerdinger blows up, which could be a different big globular thing. But then the explosion turns multicolored. So is this a hex gate? Is this inside a hex gate? Is it the same hex gate, same thing as the other globular thing? Either way, globe-shaped hex gate-like things that are multicolored. Put a pin in that too. Next was this lore thing my friend Joe told me, not confirmed by any means to be an Arcane related factoid, but basically one of the reasons why Jace and Victor could not get the hex core to work was because they're missing a specific rune. And once they discover the rune of inspiration, that's what makes the hex core fully functional, whatever that means. Hex core Season 1 is coded as purple. Maybe we then get a breakthrough in Hex core Season 2, now coded as multicolor as we see here. And I'm seeing that as related to this line.
The Arcane is waking up.
Of course, impossible to know at this point what this line really means, but their feet look an awful lot like Hexcore Victor feet, just maybe with fully functional Hexcore this time, and maybe that's what's turned them from purple to also multicolored. Okay, so if we're looking at which things are painted with this full spectrum brush, it's this alleged rogue hex gate. It's the Heimerdinger explosion at this thing which is possibly a hex gate. It's the hex core. It's that mysterious arcane line along with the hex cored feet. And then also it's lots and lots of stuff involving Jinx. And then in contrast, we have the single color stuff. Warwick is red. Noxus is also red. Lots of the Undercity stuff is the same bluish green. We got some gold stuff going on with Ambessa. We got Chemtech still pink, Hextech still blue. Vi, at least in her Pitfighter arc, is grayscale. And of course, Jinx also still very blue. So what does this all mean? If you allow me, I will now present my very speculative theory on how this all comes together. Okay, hex core gates. Hear me out. Let me back up for a second. Thematically, so we got Vi's Pitfighter arc. This is when she is stuck in life. I made a video going over this whole part of her arc. This whole rock bottom part of Vi's life was discussed at length at the Antsy Animation Festival. And what they described was this point in her life where she is very, very stuck. She's caught between these two sides of the conflict. She's living this dead-end Pitfighter party lifestyle and moving nowhere because of it. And as a result, we see color leave her life. She puts all this greasy, dirty stuff in her hair to conceal its vibrant pinkness. She uses this black makeup to cover up the tattoo of her name on her cheek, which, by the way, her Her name, if you forgot, is Violet. It is a color. She covers that up and makes that black or colorless as well. And we see from the scenes in this trailer that the whole setting is made to look grayscale as well. Shifting gears, if you think about the larger story, the larger conflict, and how the characters talk about it, we get lines like this from Mbessa.
Wrath must be met with wrath.
We also get this Vi line.
This has to end.
Meaning it's not ending. It's just a cycle of more and more violence. And just in general, when I think about Zon and Piltover, like what I get from outside of Arcane, I think of two cities locked in endless war. And that's something that manifests politically as well with the rigidity of the factions. Listen to this.
You have the chance to rally the Undercity together.
Why does Savika need to say that? It's because at this point in the story, the Undercity is not unified. It is incredibly fragmented between Silco's followers, the Firelights, all the Chembarons. And I can't imagine that things are much different in Piltover with Noctis meddling so hard in Piltover politics. Vi saying this has to end by capturing Jinx is because nothing else is getting done. And this is something we should expect from this situation. Wars do actually stall out for exactly these reasons. People squabbling, factions, politics, bureaucracy, dumb, stubborn people. No one can just do what needs to be done because everyone is all a squabble, because everyone is stuck. And finally, we see Red with Warwick. This character is clearly about the past haunting you. He is Jinx and Vi's inability to move on. And we see Gold with Mbessa. Gold is Mel's color. Mel is dead, probably. So Gold is also Mbessa's inability to move on. So basically, all the single color stuff in the story is about getting stuck in one way or another. With the single colors, we see factions mired in infighting. We see characters stuck in life. We see the past trapping us, our dead father haunting us, our dead daughter defining us. We see endless war. And then there's this other part of the story, the multicolor part, which involves hex gates, i.e. movement, which involves the hex core, i.e. glorious evolution, which involves whatever the heck this is. So without totally understanding the moving parts here, we can still say this multicolored part of the story would seem to be all about not being confined. Not being confined physically, spatially, not being confined by what you are, not being confined by your own life, and moving forward somehow, moving beyond that. And my contention, my guess, is that one of the two main ways this is going to be concretized is in hex core gates. Meaning, if normal hex gates that teleport people from place to place are powered by normal hex crystals, what would happen if you swapped out that power source for the hex core, which I think might be what Heimerdinger and Echo are up to here. Could be. If this thing is a hex gate, it is blue before the explosion, aka it's normal hex crystal coded, and then Heimerdinger does something and now it's multicolored, it's hex core coded, which is also consistent with this scene we see the hex core in. We get a flash of this guy from season 1 episode 2, but instead of the crystal in his hand, instead of the globe in his hand, it's the hex core. And this guy season 1 was all about teleportation from physical locations, i.e. locations on the globe like the one he's holding. So now this guy 2.0 should be all about teleportation from hex core dimensions. Again, what does this new technology do? No solid idea, we can only speculate. But whatever it is in specific, generally it is movement. It is the opposite of being stuck. That much we know. Now zoom out a bit. We have technology like this playing some kind of pivotal role in presumably ending this terrible unending conflict between these two cities. Forces like Noxus are keeping us stuck, just grinding our faces into the mud, telling us the only way to end this is to fight wrath with wrath. In other words, more killing, more destruction, which of course just gets everyone more and more stuck. And then the picture that I'm seeing, which this technology stuff is only one part of, is that you have these other forces within the story who are pushing in a totally different direction. Instead of pushing against, it's about pushing beyond. Instead of solving problems by destroying, it's about solving problems by building something new. Instead of watching good people deteriorate and devolve sadly into monsters, it's about glorious evolution. Instead of entrenching existing divisions, it's about coming together and unifying everyone. And that's why we're seeing this with Echo and Heimerdinger. Echo has already begun his season 2 arc by teaming up with a topsider in Heimerdinger. We've seen signs that he allies himself with Jinx at some point in the season. We also see signs he allies himself with Vi. And this really has been Echo's deal all along. The Firelights had divorced themselves from the conflict. They embraced a third option that did not involve fighting, but instead defense, taking advantage of how stuck everyone else is and letting evasion, aka movement, be their greatest strength. As a culture, they were about moving on from the past in a healthy way. They were about embracing nature, embracing growth. Okay, but the character who plays the most central role in breaking entrenched divisions and unifying everyone is, of course, Jinx. And she seems to be the other major component of this thematic picture. Like I mentioned before, we see single color symbolism with Jinx. She is blue, and then we also see a lot of multicolored stuff with her. And I think what that's a sign of is that her arc is going to be about moving from one to the other. We're going to see her going from being stuck to transcending beyond. And my prediction here is that we're going to see this type of arc with her at least twice or maybe even 3 times. I think you got to say that Jinx begins this season trapped trapped in her own head worse than ever before. Because even if she did make great strides at the end of the last season, now she is utterly alone. Her sister has changed, she's gone. Her father is dead, he's also gone, and all of her demons are still there. Those don't just go away because you fire a rocket into the sky with Sting playing in the background. If only therapy were so easy. Okay, so then Savika comes along, and she's the one who tells Jinx that she must rally the Undercity together. She must unite the broken factions, and only then do we see Multicolor in Zaun's efforts. We see that with the mural, and we see that with the explosions. So in other words, Jinx is plagued by all these internal conflicts, still very much in against mode, self against self in this case. Savika urges her to transcend, to push beyond the conflicts, not against, beyond her existence as an individual, to become a symbol of the masses. But doing that, ironically, only leads to more against, just on a much larger scale. Zaun is no longer stuck against itself, like Jinx was stuck against herself, but now it's stuck against Piltover. And we get just more solving of conflict through pointless destruction. And now her situation, maybe instead of being literally self-destructive on a personal scale, is now just as externally self-destructive on a societal scale. And maybe this is when we're introduced to the externalized version of her inner demons, aka Warwick, aka Vander, aka Jinx's literal past coming back to haunt her. Coming in to trap her in her trauma, render her stuck, render Jinx's beautiful multicolor explosions lost in Warwick's red. So I think somewhere in Act 2, Jinx abandons her role as a symbol. And I can't really speculate on what she does instead, but I suspect this is when she retreats way, way into solitude and begins whatever she's up to in this vault area, this temple area. I think this is maybe when she tries again, maybe through technological means, to somehow push beyond. We do see the multicolor motif in all her graffiti here. The way Vi and Kate talk about her, it would seem she's planning something drastic. And that leads to her final showdown with Vi. And here I'm still of the same opinion as what I discussed previously. I think it's still going to play out in the really, really horrible way I talked about in this video. You can watch that if you want, but without going into that again. In terms of what we're talking about here, I think it's still going to be blue versus pink. It's going to be sisters stuck in old conflict, single color mode, stuck in the past. I think Warwick will then crash the party, and both sisters will face him together, and one way or another they will push beyond their troubled past, even if it means letting go of their father. It's like this line that Echo has in the trailer.
Sometimes taking a leap forward means leaving a few things behind.
I think that's going to apply to the finale in just the most devastating way possible. But because Arcane is so good at complex emotions, from within that devastation, I think we're still going to see the beauty of the leap forward. I think this trailer does show us the final moments of Jinx's character arc in Season 2. Here we see she's on an airship. I think what that means is that she is leaving. She is moving. She's pushed beyond the Undercity, finally, for real. Corroborating this, we have the fact that she's changed her hair, she's cut her hair, i.e. taken a leap forward by leaving a couple things behind. She's even dyed it multicolored. She's painted her whole ship and herself multicolored. Jinx leaves Piltover and Zaun. She leaves her sister, she leaves her past, she leaves everything to hopefully at some point pop up in a future League of Legends animated series about some different part of Runeterra, which perfectly matches the title card that every ending is a new beginning. So to sum up, on 3 fronts, possibly 4, possibly more, Arcane Season 2 finds everyone stuck. Being stuck also means division. We're in a world separated by color, but from out of that, from out of the grim confines of wrath versus wrath, of us versus them, we find characters making the scary decisions, crossing the Rubicon, so to speak, to push beyond the conflict, into this new frontier of multicolor. Victor with his glorious evolution, Echo and Heimerdinger are teaming up with him, presumably, with Jinx, with Vi, and making hex core gates or something similar. Hard to say how this technology addresses the conflict, can't really speculate on that. Or maybe the technology is related to time somehow, tied in with Echo's themes. Or this probably also has to do with that mysterious line about the Arcane waking up. But either way, multicolor, transcending conflict, pushing into the great beyond somehow. And then Jinx would also seem to have several cycles of this. She transcends her own personal inner demons to become a symbol of the masses. She starts this multicolor revolution, and then she pushes beyond that, beyond monochrome Warwick, to do whatever she's up to in that temple area with her multicolored graffiti, and then finally emerging from the most devastating confrontation with her trauma yet, she manages to push entirely beyond. She leaves behind all of her problems, all of her past, all of her trauma, all of these demons she leaves stuck in the stagnant pair of cities, and she literally transcends them in her airship off to who knows where, finally feeling free in her multicolored hair and body art. I went into this trailer expecting, like most trailers, to be able to to speculate more about season 2 plot stuff, like events, like things that are going to happen. And yeah, we did get some of that, we got a lot of that, but it was from an entirely different angle. Leave it to Arcane to make a trailer that so beautifully primes its audience for what to expect symbolically, and to give a strong sense of theme foreshadowing as well. It's just so interesting as a trailer experience. But okay, we will stop here. Subscribe. I have not followed a lot of the discourse about this trailer because, as I mentioned before, I am not in a place that has great internet, so I have no idea if the stuff that I've been talking about has matched what other people are speculating about. But anyway, I would appreciate if you let me know what other people are talking about. That'd be awesome. Let me know if you have any other speculations about all the kind of more mysterious stuff we saw in the trailer, like that random new character maybe with a black smoky body and the yellow eyes. Also, let me know if you can fill in any of the blanks of the rough structure I outlined for all these single color stuck versus multicolor transcendent dichotomies. Is hex core gates a thing? What do you think it would do? Or do you think that all this imagery was hinting at some other technology entirely? But until we get anything else, that's all I got for now. Shoutouts to my patrons. Big discussion about season 2 still going on in my Discord server as I upload this. Thanks to everyone whose ideas contributed to this video, especially my friends Joe, TARDIS Runner, and Dvora. Shoutouts to new high tier patrons, NASX, John Hoey, Nalmiet. Hope everyone enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.